Bonjour and welcome to French 1 with Mr. McCoy. This is lesson 35, dedicated to adjectives. Our learning objectives for this lesson, we have 3, are for you at the end of the lesson to be able to explain or define what an adjective is, for you to be able to state in your own words what we mean by adjective agreement in French, and then finally to be able to explain the rules or the principles relating to word order or placement of adjectives in a sentence or in a phrase. Okay? But before we get to the placement and the agreement, let's try to give a basic working definition of what an adjective is. Okay? So in this adjective definition, rather, is actually going to hold for both languages, adjectives in English and in French. So basically stated, adjectives are words which describe nouns. Okay? That's all there is to it. Okay? Adjectives are words, this is part of speech, are words that describe or modify nouns. Okay? For example, somebody asks you about your teacher. Adjectives are the words that you use to give a complete response, that is to paint a picture, with your answer. Okay? You could say something like, he is tall, he is witty, he's funny. Okay? Or you could say, I have a charming, intelligent, erudite teacher. Okay? Those words, charming, witty, erudite, handsome, okay, these are adjectives. They describe the person, place, or thing which you're talking about. Okay? So again, that definition is going to hold for adjectives of both languages, English and French. Okay? Let's say a word real quick about agreement and placement in English first. Okay? So in English, we don't really have too much to do with adjective agreements. Okay? And you guys know the concept of gender, grammatical gender, doesn't really exist in English. We don't think of the binder, the folder, the desk as having gender. Okay? We know that's not the case in French, but in English we don't have the grammatical gender. And for the most part, we don't have to deal with adjective agreement in terms of number either. Okay? Now, there's an exception. You might think about the adjectives this and these, that and those. Okay? But again, for the most part, our adjectives in English don't have to change form. Okay? In terms of gender or number. Okay? It's not really an issue. Now, as far as placement goes, if we're placing the adjective in English next to the noun, you guys know we put it before the noun. Okay? So, I like this new whiteboard, or I really like the red pen. Okay? I like the blue jacket. Okay? Blue, red, white. Okay? That comes all the time before the noun. Okay? And as you know, sometimes you can also use a form of the verb to be. Okay, kind of break it up. The jacket is blue. Okay, the pants are tan. Okay, but again, if you're putting it next to the noun, it comes in English before. Okay. Okay. So now let's turn the page and look at some French. Okay, let's talk about agreement. That's what you really need to know. Okay, concept of adjective agreement in French. Again, this is what you need to know. And in French, all nouns have gender. Okay, you know this already. Okay, all nouns have gender. Okay, and all adjectives are going to have to agree with the nouns they modify in terms of gender and number. Okay, let's get that down. In French, all adjectives have to agree with the nouns they modify in both gender and number. So already know we have, in terms of number, 2 categories, singular and plural. In terms of gender, we have 2 categories also, masculine and feminine. 2 times 2 gives us 4 categories, or 4 forms. Okay? So here I have an example of what I'm going to refer to as a regular adjective. Okay? Now, the fact that I refer to regular adjective implies that there are irregular adjectives as well. Not worried about that right now. I'm going to show you the pattern that a regular adjective follows. Okay? Now, if you look up the adjective for blue. Blue is an adjective. In the dictionary, the form you're going to get is a masculine singular form. And that's the form that I have in this top left corner of this table. Okay? So for example, the adjective in French for blue is bleu. Bleu. Okay? Bleu. Now, again, the adjective has to agree in gender and number with the noun that modifies. So if you're describing a masculine singular noun, the form you're going to use is bleu. Alright, if you got a masculine plural noun, you add an S. Bleu. Okay? Now if you want to describe a feminine singular noun, you add the E. Bleu. If you want to describe a feminine plural noun, bleu, you add the ES. Okay? So again, you have the base form. To make it feminine, you add the E, which is silent. Okay? Bleu, bleu. And to get your plural form, you add an S. Okay? So masculine plural, bleu. Feminine plural, bleu. Okay? So go make sure you copy that down. This is the pattern or the motif. Okay? The pattern that all regular adjectives will follow. Okay? Now in this case, all four forms sound the same. That might not always be the case. We'll see that when we learn about the colors. Okay? But they can, if it ends in, for example, a vowel sound, the four forms might, as in this case, they do sound the same. Okay? Bleu, 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 bleu. Okay? So to give you an example of what that would look like in practice, okay? We have, for example, the word for truck in French is camion. It's a masculine noun. The word for car is feminine, une voiture. So un camion, une voiture. Okay, to use this in a sentence, I could say, c'est un camion bleu. C'est un camion bleu. This is a blue truck. Okay, if I had several, ce sont des camions bleus. Ce sont des camions bleus. Okay, again, I had several blue trucks. These are blue trucks. Ce sont des camions bleus. Okay, this is a blue car. C'est une voiture bleue. C'est une voiture bleue. Okay, again, if I had several blue cars, ce sont des voitures bleues. Ce sont des voitures bleues. Okay? So remember, in French, the adjective has to agree with the noun it modifies in gender and number. Okay? Alright? We'll practice with that. And so that covers our definition of what an adjective is. Hopefully helps you understand what we mean by adjective agreement. The last thing was adjective placement. Okay? Now, what you need to know is that in general, adjectives in French come after the noun they modify. Okay? Again, we said in English they come before. In French, most of the time, they're placed after. Okay? And again, I said for some adjectives, maybe you'll use the form of the verb to be, être. Okay? For example, you could say, rather than saying, this is a blue truck, c'est un camion bleu, you could say, this truck is blue. Okay? Ce camion est bleu. Okay? You can use verb to be to describe something. Okay? But otherwise, it's going to come after. Now, we will learn about a small group of often used adjectives which are placed before the noun. Okay? But again, those are relatively few. So in general, just keep in mind, in general, the adjective comes after the noun. Okay? Okay? There are some that come before. And if you're really curious, I'll tell you that we have a group of adjectives in French called fickle adjectives. You can Google it. Okay? We have a handful of adjectives which change meaning depending on whether you put them after or before the noun. Okay? So again, if you're really curious, Google that. You can learn about those. Okay? Otherwise, what I want you to know right now, okay, is this. Adjectives are words that modify or describe nouns. Okay? They tell us more about nouns, what they're like. Okay? Second, adjective agreement. Adjectives in French have to agree in gender and number with the nouns they modify. And then third, in general, okay, in general, most adjectives in French are placed after the noun they modify. The noun comes first, then the adjective, okay? And then we'll learn the other ones that come first, okay, at a later time, okay? I'll actually practice with those. The demonstrative adjectives are an example of that, okay? But otherwise, in general, most adjectives come after the noun they modify, okay? So we'll practice a little bit with that. Merci bien, bon courage, et au revoir.